Back again, guys, and today we're doing legs. So basically, the last video I'd done arms, it was just a bit of a random one, to be honest, and this time I'm doing legs. I'm just going to run through my training days, I think, over the next kind of few videos and just show you guys exactly what I'm doing. It's not to say it's what you've got to do, but this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm enjoying. So today will be a little bit like, what will it be like? I am starting with actually some lying hip abduction, which is the most boring exercise in the world, but we'll show you a little bit of that. The reason I've been doing that is it's something I've never really worked on before, is like kind of like direct glute med work. You probably don't need to work on it, but it's something I've been doing recently, and actually once I get into like a leg press or something after that, it actually feels really smooth, and I have no other reason to back that up or no logic behind it. It just feels good, so I'm going with it. So I start with the abduction, and then I'm going on to leg extension, hamstring curl, calf raise. I like actually doing like almost like a backwards leg session. Most people do the kind of heavier kind of compound stuff first. I go the opposite way, and I just feel like by the time I go into the leg press after that, again, everything just feels smooth, it feels good. And I wouldn't need to use as much load then because I'm already pre-fatigued, so it saves me putting as many plates on, you know, see when you get this strong. And then onto some safety bar squats after that, and then finish with the adductor. That adductor's the only thing that I put at the end of the workout for some reason. Don't know why, it's just the way I've been doing it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy, but for now I'm going to grab pre-workout, and today we're having something a bit different. I think in the last video I had defib, which is quite a stimmy pre-workout. This one is not so stimmy, but it still is a little bit. I think it's got like caffeine-wise, you're talking like 200 milligrams. No, I'm reading the wrong thing actually. 150 milligrams of caffeine, but there's a lot of different like kind of nootropics in it, a lot of just like kind of focusy stuff. I've had a few non-stim pre-workouts in the past where you're like, what the fuck is this? This stuff is the shit. I think the first time you use it as well, it's like, it hits hard, and like for a non-stim pre-workout, you feel pretty fucking wired, you feel pretty good, and you just want to keep going and going. So good pre-workout, and it tastes better now. The first version, if you have tried this already, first version didn't have a great taste. It does taste a lot better now. So I'm going to have a couple of scoops of that and get going. Well, you didn't see fucking Ronnie Coleman doing that exercise, did you? So, doing a bit of cable abduction, as I talked about at the start. Basically, I've got this other cable here as a restraint holding my leg in place just to give me a bit more stability. Again, all I'm really doing here is opening up the hips. And again, it's just something that it makes me feel a lot better when I'm going into my leg pressing and things like that. So, I'm not saying this is the kind of mass builders for you, so to speak, but for me, it's definitely helping open things up and keep me injury free. So leg extension, it's a seemingly easy exercise to do, but I still see people getting this one wrong. So just a few things on this one. Already, I'm needing to adjust the position of this because it's like quite low down for me. So I'll always bring it right up because basically the further up your leg this is, the closer it is to your joint, the less joint forces. And again, you will be able to probably load it a bit more like that, and it does absolutely no harm. Less joint forces is usually going to be a better thing. Then the other thing I'm going to need to adjust is going to be where the seat's at, because I want my knees lining up with the axis. I feel like you fucking hear that everywhere you go on social media now. People are like, knees lining up with the axis or elbow lining up with the axis. I'm actually fed up of hearing it, but anyway, it is part of the motion. Apparently I don't know where this is either. So I'm just going to pull this forward till we're in a position where my knees are in line with that. So if that line kept continuing, just basically go right through my knee. And then if we come around to the front here, so the final thing when it comes to leg extensions is most people just sit on it like this and do their reps. But when you're in that position, my knees want to hinge out that way. Now the machine is just going to move straight that way. So you need to move your legs till they're in a position where your knees are going to hinge the same way as the machine, okay? So that we're perfectly aligned with that. We're in the same plane that the machine's moving in. And then from there, that's everything. Just pull yourself into that seat and extend your legs. Right, so hamstring curl now. This hamstring curl, this Nay brand hamstring curl, honestly, I think someone probably made this in their fucking garage or something. It's a piece of shit, right? So I got it for next to nothing. But the problem with it is, where the pad starts, that would fucking just about tear your ACL off because it's like almost like overextending your leg in that position. So it's not good to be there under a lot of load in most circumstances. So if you've ever got a machine like this that has like a poor starting position that's out with your kind of range, then what you want to do is like basically find that starting position. So this is me just relaxing on here, bit of a vulnerable position this, isn't it? And you'll see that there's this gap here appearing on the stack. So I'm just going to put the pin in now, and if I come off it, you'll see this gap's appeared there, but it means that the weight doesn't actually kick in till about there, which is a far safer position, so that's going to be better. Again, down there, what would happen is it's basically taking your leg and forcing it back into that like hyperextended position, which we don't necessarily want. Another thing about this machine as well is because it's like half a circle, the cam's like half a circle, the load basically stays the same all the way through. Now with your hamstrings, you're going to be a lot weaker into that shortened position at the end of the rep. So if I pick a load I can do at the start of the rep, I'm not going to be able to do a full rep with that. So what I'll do in this circumstance is just basically do partial reps. So I'll pick a heavier load, and I'll do the first half of the rep, and then I'll drop the load to something lighter and finish off my rep from there. But I've not done a lot to sell this leg curl today, but what I will do is when I am getting rid of this and I'm actually selling it, I'll just put fake hammer strength stickers on it. Seen that done before. Okay, so a couple of adjustments for going on the leg press. I've got some bands on there, bottom banded rather than like reverse banded. A lot of people are into reverse banding nowadays, which obviously offloads it at the bottom. This actually loads it up at the top. So either way, you're kind of doing the same thing in just a different method. So when you do a leg press, you know yourself, the bottom of the leg press is the hardest bit. The top of it, you could probably hold it there all day. So the reason I've done this is to make it harder at the top. So that'd be good fun. As you're pushing up, it's getting fucking harder. And then we've got the wee booster seat as well. This leg press in particular, I feel like the seat is quite sunk into the leg press, and having that little bit of a boost there, it helps you get a little bit more range of motion. So try it out and you probably find you get a little bit deeper. Not everyone has good range of motion when it comes to leg pressing, because in this position we're already pretty close to 90 degrees of like hip flexion, so your angle of your hip is about 90 degrees almost. This one has a seat that you can push back, so obviously we can open that up a little bit more, but a good way to test this is basically just to pull one leg off and bring it down as if you're doing a leg press, and basically as far down as that comes is how much range you've got. Now if I put my feet narrow like this, we'll find I've got a lot less range. But then if I go a bit wider and point my toes out, I've got a bit more range there. So find the position where you've got the most range and use it. So we just talked about like the width of your feet, and that's going to be down to basically how much hip flexion you've got. Wherever you've got the most range of motion, that's how wide you should put your feet, okay? But when it comes to like where it should be in terms of should your feet be low or should your feet be high, well, that's going to depend on what the goal of the exercise is. When your feet are lower, if you've got the kind of ankle motion to do so, then your knees are going to come further over your toes, you're going to get a bit more quad involvement. But if you put your feet a bit higher, that's not going to happen so much, and it's going to make it a bit more glute dominant, a bit more of a hip extension. Now, the glutes and the quads are going to be working both ways, but you know, we can just manipulate the exercise slightly to hit more of the muscle that we want to work on. And there's some stuff we can do as well with just pushing our weight back into the pad. Again, if you want to make it a bit more quad dominant, pushing your hips back is going to help drive that. If you want to make it a bit more glute dominant, pushing your upper back into the pad is going to help that a wee bit too. So you might find that if you do want to hit your glutes more than anything, you might actually find that you bring the seat up, and that makes it easier to push into the back, and then vice versa with the quads. Most people when they're leg pressing though are going to want a quad dominant, so feet as low as your ankle motion allows, pushing your hips back into the pad. And if you've got a leg press like this one's got like a bit of an angle here, and basically that allows for a bit more ankle motion, but also means that you're always pushing your toes up into the pad. And that creates friction, and that makes it a bit more quad dominant again. So even if you've not got an angle like that, you can always just push up onto the pad. Like imagine the pad's made of ice, and you're trying to push into it, that's going to make it a bit more quad dominant. The more you drive your toes into it, the more you're going to feel your quads. Going to be a bit extra rage going into this next set now. Football chat is officially banned from the gym. Now we're on to the safety bar squats. This is going to be one of the last exercises. To be honest, I just got in the way of using this just rather than a normal squat. No real reason I put this in over the normal squat, just been enjoying it recently. If people struggle with shoulder mobility, this one makes a lot of sense because the handles are on the front. A lot of people will say it's a bit like a front squat this. That totally depends. It depends on the way that you fold up. I actually done a video where I broke down me doing a normal squat with a barbell versus a safety bar, and there was no major differences in it in terms of whether it was working my quads or glutes more and what the split was, so it was pretty much the same. I have got the heel wedge in here just to give me, again, I don't struggle with ankle mobility, but I just get a bit more, it keeps me a bit more upright and my knees come a bit further forward over my toes for that, so that's what I'm aiming for, get a bit more knee flexion, so yeah, better crack on with them. So a lot of people ask me why I leave squats till the end of the workout rather than at the start. To be honest, it doesn't really bother me. I always feel like a bit more warmed up for them. I feel like I can sit down into a squat a lot easier, I'm more prepared for it. Obviously I'm not shifting as much loads as I could at the start, but to be honest, I've got that many niggles and injuries that if I was squatting at the start, definitely would shift more weight, but I'd probably get the ill effects of that too. So this way we're still getting the same stimulus, just later in the workout and without as much stress in our joints. So it makes sense to me. Maybe I'm... Just waiting to be seen at the gynecologist. The adductors, the final exercise of the day, I do feel a bit open actually sitting like this, you know that. It'd be even worse if I was wearing shorts. But yeah, final exercise of the day. One thing to consider when you're setting this up is like the starting point. So a lot of people will try and get this as wide as they possibly can, which is great, but you want to make sure there's a little bit of movement, like you can pull your leg back off the pad. If your leg is like glued to the pad, then you're forcing yourself into a range that you don't have. So just make sure there's that little bit of movement. So that's legs done now. So yeah, half decent session to be fair, wasn't too bad. Something I definitely need in here is like another like sort of press. So I have ordered a pendulum squat, which will go right here in this corner. So looking forward to that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. If anyone's got any questions and any of this stuff, ask someone else who knows what they're talking about. Obviously feel free to leave a comment. And what as everyone says on YouTube, like and subscribe. So make sure you do that too.